Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm Kimani. Thank you for joining us. In the headlines, Kalinago Council to establish an institution for financial assistance in the Kalinago territory, and the DLP will hold its delegates conference on Sunday. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Hey, I had a good time in town last week with a pretty girl, man.
Hey, carry me next time when you're going now.
When we get paid Friday, we gonna go.
Careful, you might catch AIDS.
AIDS? Them girl pretty. Them girl can't get AIDS, man.
I think it's only ugly women have AIDS. Anybody could get it. If you get sick, what you can tell your wife?
Hey, your wife, come in.
Hey, change the topic. Change the topic.
Your family depends on you. Don't take home AIDS.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Welcome back. Kalinago Chief Garnet Joseph says the biggest issue facing the Kalinago people at this time, not unlike any other people, is the community's economic situation. At a press conference on Wednesday, he revealed that as a result, the Kalinago Council is in the process of setting up the Kalinago Development Corporation. Joseph says one of the main functions of the KDC would be to raise funds for assisting with the various needs of the residents of the territory.
And this is an entity that we're hoping to establish in the very near future that will be able to manage the financial resources of the territory, being able to enter into business with local or foreign entities, be able to raise money for lending to Kalinago people. It will function along the lines of, well, maybe the NDC, the NAFD, but also have additional responsibilities, like to be able to enter into business ventures with other entities, both local and foreign.
He believes that the ability to generate funds within the community will promote independence and encourage the Kalinago people to become responsible in charting the course for their growth and development. At the initial stage, the Council will require the assistance and expertise of experienced financial and insurance institutions on the island. However, Chief Joseph expects the corporation will eventually be solely operated by the Kalinago community. In other news, the Dominica Labour Party delegates and supporters from every constituency around Dominica are expected to gather at Point Michel on Sunday, 15th September for the DLP 2013 Delegates Conference and Awards Ceremony. 31 long-standing supporters and stalwarts of the party will be recognized and honored for their unwavering support of the party. Minister for Constituency Empowerment and Deputy Political Leader of the Labour Party, Honorable Ambrose George, Minister for Housing, Honorable Reginald Austri, as well as Political Leader Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt will deliver addresses to the 2013 Delegates Conference. 3 overseas speakers, including the Political Leader of the Antigua Labour Party, Gaston Brown, are also expected to address the conference. The 2013 Dominica Labour Party Delegates Conference gets underway from 11 a.m. with the passage of a resolution to retain the present executive to run the affairs of the Dominica Labour Party for another year. Members of Parliament have 14 days to present nominations for the position of President of the Commonwealth of Dominica. A special sitting of Parliament was held at the House of Assembly on Thursday morning, where Speaker of the House of Assembly, Honorable Alex Boyd Knight, explained the rules regarding the nominations of the new president.
Whenever the office of president is vacant, or the term of office of the president is due to expire within not more than 90 days, the Prime Minister shall consult with the leader of the opposition as to their joint nomination of a suitable candidate for election as president. If the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition submit to the Speaker by writing under their hands a joint nomination of a candidate for election as president, to which that candidate has consented, the Speaker shall inform the House of the nomination and declare that candidate to have been duly elected without putting the question to the vote. 19.3 that is. If the Prime Minister is unable to agree with the leader of the opposition as to their joint nomination of a candidate for election as president, he shall notify the Speaker to that effect, and the Speaker shall inform the House accordingly. Subsection 4, the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition or any 3 members of the House may, during the period expiring 14 days after the day on which the House has been so informed, submit to the Speaker by writing under their hands nomination of candidates for election as president, and the Speaker shall, at the first meeting of the House after the expiration of that period, and before the House proceeds to any other business, inform the House of the nominations he has received and to which the candidates concerned have consented.
Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit told Parliament that no agreement had been reached between himself and the leader of the opposition.
I wrote to the Speaker. I invited rather the leader of the opposition office. I told him to respond to me by Wednesday. He wrote back to say that he cannot agree with the nomination put forward. As a result of this, Madam Speaker, I wrote to the Speaker of the House to inform her that there is no agreement. It is as a result of this letter that the Madam Speaker set a date for Parliament to meet, taking into consideration also the time frame to complete the process, Madam Speaker. And I will come to this later on. As far as we are concerned, Madam Speaker, when the Alex Boyd Knight, I'm saying Alex Boyd Knight because I was one of the Speaker, Madam Speaker, wrote to me to say, among other things, and she read the letter, the Madam Speaker read the letter written by Alex Boyd Knight to the Parliament this morning, giving reasons why she was withdrawing her name for consideration to the office of the President. I subsequently wrote to Mr. John as leader of the opposition, hoping, Madam Speaker, that there will be agreement. If when you write, you say there's no agreement, when you respond to me, you say that there's agreement. So you can't come here to ask me about it, or ask the AG for a letter showing where there's no agreement, when you cannot present to us a letter showing where there's agreement. There's no agreement.
In other news, Minister for Employment, Trade, Industry and Diaspora Affairs, Honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre says a recent loan granted by the Caribbean Development Fund will be used to improve the services provided by the Dominica Bureau of Standards. The minister made the remark during an interview with GIS News this week.
The Center for Excellence, which is under the Bureau standards. This is another area where we have received some assistance from the same Curriculum Development Fund for, of course, for providing and supporting programs up there in terms of equipment. And of course, one of the consultants, I met him just recently, is actually on island right now, looking at the necessary equipment that's required for the Bureau standard in terms of providing that support for it. The Bureau has come a very, very long way. In the past, we never had a Bureau. Now that we have a Bureau and we are building more and more capacity at the Bureau, of course, Dr. John is doing a pretty good job up there, and of course, Mr. Greg at Dexia, the soon-to-be expert Dominica. These are some of our reference points we have to mention. And the staff who work with us there, I know our staff at Dexia, a little concerned, but I want to make them rest assured that this government is not in the interest of messing with anyone's jobs. Our interest is to create more jobs on the island and not to cut jobs. We just want to make sure we look at efficiency in terms of production. But the Bureau Stand has been doing a very good job, and under this program as well, there's a component of it where they'll benefit under some equipment for the lab to increase on the capacity for testing at the Bureau Standards Lab.
The Ministry of Education is well poised to develop learning through the use of information, communication, and technology in Dominica. The ministry has plans to begin a school learning network through the use of ICT. The Ministry of Education is expecting this new approach to transform the way that students learn and teachers teach. Abraham Durand, TVET coordinator, former ICT coordinator, explains during a discussion at GIS on Tuesday.
One of the critical means of doing this with the use of ICT is to set up what is called a school learning network, where the school provides access to online resources, whether it is stored locally, whether it is stored anywhere it is stored. But when you log into your computer, that you actually log into a network that is a learning environment in itself. So you start learning and you start interacting with learning materials from the word go that you set up your computer. We have done some pioneering work in this with what we call the digital live classroom portal, where we filmed and documented teachers, expert teachers, delivering key lessons in specific areas, especially in areas that are difficult to turn out in the classroom, so that wherever a teacher is located, the students anywhere on the island can in fact benefit from this teacher's expertise by following his lessons online, even by looking at the recorded lessons that have been stored on the database.
As this new approach to education evolves, there will be a growing need for students all across the island, even in the remotest areas, to have access to such technology. Director of Telecommunications Bennett Thomas says provisions has been made for such individuals through the Telecoms Liberalization Act of Dominica.
The telecom liberalization process, and part of the Telecoms Act, mandated that schools or centers, persons who are disadvantaged or underprivileged or in very challenging areas, in what you call the remote areas, who need access to education and ICT technologies, there is something known as the Universal Service Fund, which is managed by the National Telecom Regulatory Commission right here in Dominica. Their role is to provide funding for certain projects for persons out in the remote areas who may not have the kind of access that we have. But the primary purpose of that is what is known as the universal access. It's a universal service obligation under the Telecoms Act that ensures that persons who are in the remote areas will have just as access, and it's going to be affordable.
In the effort to continue strengthening the e-education system locally, the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Ministry of Communications, will conduct a national e-learning symposium. The professional services of Dominican-born Dr. Laurel John Baptist has been secured for facilitating this symposium. Dr. Laurel John Baptist, the Canadian government's e-educational advisor, has worked in education and online learning for over 13 years. The e-learning symposium will run from September 23rd to 26th, 2013. And finally, please take note of this special announcement. The public is informed that the offices of the Housing Division on Goodwill Road and Chance Portsmouth will be closed on Friday, 13th September 2013 for a staff development session. The Ministry of Lands, Housing, Settlements and Water Resource Management apologizes for any inconvenience caused. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce is up next with Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, Parlement Dominique joint jeudi pour une spéciale session. Ça fait qu'à cause le président pour Dominique sortir à tête. Gouvernement a fait nomination speaker du Parlement Honorable Alex Boyd Knight, mais il était signé des agréments entre Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt et chef opposition Honorable Hector John à ces nominations là. Quand même si l'on loi pays là, Premier ministre a tenu à informer speaker là à ces situations là. Speaker là, sinon loi pays là, tenu pour créer session parlement pour faire ces mêmes la situation là. Speaker Boyd Knight informe le Parlement sur la situation là, qui y a 14 jours pour voir une nomination entrée à un candidat neuf pour président Dominique. Parlement fermé, sans d'ail. En la nouvelle, le ministre de l'Agriculture a fait parole qui concerne citrus greening disease. M. Joseph Blankford, c'est mon qui a changé position comme directeur quarantine, ministre de l'Agriculture Dominique.
Citrus greening disease, c'est un autre maladie qui a affecté la citrus à Dominique. Et ça nous voit, maladie ça, il même qu'à spread. Mais ça nous voit, il qu'à spread ça sur place qui plus bas, place comme la poète, place comme Jimmy, place comme pas syndicate, Colibistry, place Colibistry à ce plate là. Sur toutes ces places, on peut voir, mais à ce montagne là même, Girodel, place qu'on syndicate, place qu'on belle, ces places là, nous pas qu'à voir parce que vecteur qui a spread maladie, il pas aimer ces places là qui plus haut. So il pas qu'à développer quoi à ce place là. Ou ça mène là, il s'allait là, il ça mène là, mais c'est pas place il préfère il était bon tout partout bon qui plus moins plus chaud.
Division culturelle tient discussion et puis divers secteurs société là à ces nominations au plan national ça occupe un national dish. Parole ça là sorti au chef officier culturel M. Raymond Lawrence.
Madi on lo mona Dominique ça yo quoi. Avait on lo mona différent à différents parts de la société Dominique. Moun qui a servi computer avec yo online, nous m'a dit yo. Moun qui a écouté moun qui a écouté radio, nous m'a dit yo. Even jeune moun qui a allé l'école, nous m'a dit yo ça yo préféré. Avec moun qui a fait manger tous les jours à un restaurant là, à les hôtels là, nous m'a dit yo aussi. Avec à chaque fois nous m'a dit c'est différent ces moun ça là, yo tout choisi Kalalo comme premier pour national dish. So c'est ça nous. Et bien au café Kalalo de différentes manières, ou ça manger, si ou pas qu'à manger viande, ou ça boire Kalalo là ça viande, mais si ou qu'à manger viande, ou qu'à mettre viande parfumée à d'ail, ou ça mettre kwab à da Kalalo, avec tout ça c'est Kalalo, hein, pour ma des cabinets si ou ça comme c'est dit d'accord Kalalo qui est national dish Dominique.
Et puis finalement, comme Pep Kalinago a changé semaine activité, il faut mettre attention pour bâtir un monument qui signifie la vie Pep Kalinago. M. Prosper Paris, c'est chairman comité qui est en charge de cette activité-là.
Mercredi là, c'est là nous faisons application pour un monument en honneur à Moun Kalinago, qui passé, qui est présent, qui est futur Kalinago. Et pour nous faire ça, nous avons une journée live monument display à Pokassé. On disait, nous avons des gens qui habillés comme hard, mais pas hard, mais petit comme gens anciens Kalinago. Et il y a là pour journée là, il y a que nous avons un rallye qui nous a invité les gens, les ministres de cabinet et les gouvernements et les autres pays pour adresser à ce topic là qui est l'importance d'un monument Ça y vaut, ça y valait pour moun Kalinago. Et ça qu'a fait le mercredi, et nous qui la horde Saint-Thier pour 6 heures, nous qui venir aller là, nous qu'a fait transportation bah, tout le monde pour porter là, tout le monde Kalinago. Et les autres monde qui les viennent ouais, ils viennent écouter, ils viennent bailler support, nous qu'a invité aussi.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Au revoir.
Time now for your tip of the day.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
If you jump into budgeting without a positive attitude, you are likely to give up before you've even seen the difference a spending plan can make in your life. Begin by totaling your monthly income and monthly expenses. If your end results show more income than expense, you are off to a good start. However, if you are in a situation where expenses are higher than income, you should look at your variable expenses to find areas to cut. After the first month of planning your expenses, take a minute to sit down and compare the actual expenses versus what you had created in the budget. This will show you where you did well and where you may need to improve. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Kimani. Thank you for watching.